Now let's talk about the second and third cello parts. Again, what I have done is I've given all the solo hard stuff to the first cellist. So find the superstar amongst your friends that likes to show off, have them play the first part. But for everyone else, the second and third part is completely manageable. Here in my studio, I have some of my first year students and second year students actually working on the second and third parts. It's not hard. All you need to do is learn how to read on the lower strings. And second, more importantly, is control the pressure you use on your bow. Don't put too much pressure. You don't want to drown out. You do not want to play louder than the first cellist. So, you want to start everything here in first position. You can, like at the beginning, stay in first position. I play it in fourth position, but you can play it in first position. And if you look at where you have your supporting harmony to the first part, we're in measure 66, second beat. And I suggest you also do the here extended first position. 1. If you use an open A, it sounds like this. 1. It's safe, and so if you're more comfortable with that, certainly use it. But I suggest you use your expanded open position. Continuing forward, you want to do this beautiful little solo you have in measure 83, 82, 81, and 80. I suggest starting on the 3 on the A or simply using your open A. I will start on 3 on the A. So that's 4-3-1, 4-3-1, shifting up 4. Important that you do that. Moving forward, we have another part that you're high in the fourth position. That is in measure 93 for measure 95. Here, 1. So it's 4-2-1, 2-4, slide back 1 on the D. And this is where it gets essential. You become now fully immersed in the sound of this piece. And so I suggest you start up bow there in the next measure, the dotted half note D. And here's the counting. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Do, do, do. It's very essential. And how you count that is you do something called subdivide. I'm going to put that down here. Subdivide or subdivision. Subdivision. And what that means is you count the smaller beats. So you have a 3-4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Subdivide you. 1 and 2 and 3. So you count the little beats. 1 and 2 and 3. So you go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 1, 2. So you want to change on the off. So you only can do that if you have the ta 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 ta. Like this. Start up bow. Essential that you count and you work on that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Make sure you have to count that. You have to count that out. You have your supporting melodies as well going through it. We're going to jump to more important part 141 because you're doing these octave Cs. It can get very strong. It can get very robust at a point like that. So dial it back. Resist the desire to just ram into your cello and just jam on this lovely low string we have. And it goes on to this full unison part. You have the mezzo forte, measure 152, 53, measure 154. And I suggest you don't overpower your soloist. Make sure you hear the soloist for that part. Just like that. And so there's nothing much more to explain about this except the very last note, which is the harmonic A. It is a harmonic. You're supposed to let it be as pure as possible. So control this bow. That A must be as pure as possible. It's given the intonation because you're playing a harmonic. But the purity comes from the smoothness of the bow. You control your bow as lifting up slightly from here as if you're a marionette. The closer you get to the frog, you're basically suspending it, especially when you're playing softly like that. And as you extend your arm out, you allow the whole arm to weigh into the bow. And when you do your transitions between your ups and your downs, you imagine your hand is like almost like the end of a paintbrush like this. And then you take your bow and you move first with the wrist, then with the knuckles, and then with the fingers. It's like a fin of a fish. You move up and you move down. That's how you keep that transition smooth. Let's go on to the third part. Violoncelle, violoncelle 3. Yes, you don't have much to do except don't overpower. But your essential technique is to follow the bowing. Super essential. That's why we have this cool wide angle. Hope you guys like it, by the way. Let's look at measure 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48. I tend to forget how to count. I'm good at math. Not amazing, but I can count. You want to always start this low D up bow. The reason is you want to do an up bow into that legato 4-3-1, those 2/8 notes into the D. You want to play that up bow and then smoothly transition through like the waves, slowly rumbling to shore. I absolutely love your part, actually. It's fun to play. And of course, you have this sort of repetition that adds intensity, agitation, if you will. And that's going to be in measure 95. We'll do two measures before that. Measure 94, measure 93. I found when I was playing this, I had to be very wary of where I put my first finger. I know it's first position, first finger, but because you're really jamming on these notes, make sure that it's low enough. Not too low, but just right. When you play cello and you play between octave notes, it's essential that you are as accurate as possible with your intonation. So make sure that you follow the bowings in those measures from 95, 6, and 7, because there's a double down between 97 and 98. And then we're moving on to measure 114, measure 113. The last beat of that measure is a legato 4-3, and then starting up bow on the next measure. You have a fun part. You start the agitation. You actually join the agitation as well, at 152. 152, you are doing what the fourth cello starts doing these eighth notes, and make them elongate, make them simply longer as you play. And as you get into that. And your part is just like the other parts. You can legato. I think I accidentally did that, but you should keep it separate. That separation gives it a more of a intense feeling. And lastly, the pizzicatos at the very end, measure 177. Your pizzicatos must be absolutely pure. It's fingerings 1, 3, 4, repeated twice, shifting back 2, 4, 0, and that counting. That was 189. And make sure that you're synced up beautifully with the fourth part for these low Ds. And you'll sound just fine.